Dear pastors in Korea, this is Pastor Chester, and I'm truly happy that we can spend a few minutes today talking on the video. You probably noticed that the background behind me is a little different than those ones that you have watched previously. And simply this is just another side of my office. And also you notice the crosses behind me. Those are some of my cross collections. Cross has a special meaning. I'm sure that it does to you as well. Cross reminds me I'm a sinner, and without God's sacrificial love shown on the cross, I'm still a sinner and I'm just nothing. So each day I'm being reminded of God's love, and each day I realize I'm living with that special spirit of God's resurrection within me. Anyway, today I want to share with you about giving testimony. If you really want to open up the hearts of the people who are listening to your sermon, especially you go to a place where you have never met and then you have to talk to these people, one of the best way that you can open up their heart and also being connected together with them is giving your personal testimony, either at the beginning or toward the end, preferably in the beginning. And to do that, you cannot simply go there and stand in front of them and then begin to talk about your life story. Depends on how lengthy your sermon will be. It'll be good to come up with maybe 3 to 5 or 7 minute personal testimony. So you need to give some thought how you are going to do that. They need to know you, and when you talk about your testimony, they will really get to know you through those testimonies. So in the beginning, like where you were before you came to believe in God, this is your life. And now in that struggle, you were led to believe in God, and then God began to work in your life, and how that God has changed your life. So as people listen to you, not only that they get to know you, but also they want to experience the same God's grace. So it'll be a good way if you can come up with a personal testimony. You heard very powerful testimony from Pastor Michael's sermons. His testimony, anyone who listened to his sermon, it really breaks down their hearts. It really opens up. They are somehow just automatically drawn into his story. And they can commiserate together. And they cried together, they laughed together. But in the end, without even knowing it, Pastor Michael made them as his best friend. So it'll be wonderful if you can do that. And then you need to practice that testimony that you are giving. I'm sure that you'll be practicing your sermon that you are going to give. Practice is very important. Even if you have given some thoughts how you are going to preach, or you even write maybe outline of the sermon. I don't know whether you have to write the whole outline of the sermon. But when you come up with that, you need to practice it so that you can feel comfortable delivering that message. About 15, 20 years ago, I remember one incident where I really need to give a very special sermon at a national conference, and then one particular message and sermon, I remember practicing it at least like about 50 times before I went out and delivered that sermon. And then I changed that sermon, that particular sermon, a few places, and then have given at quite a few more times at different places. You remember Martin Luther King, the one who has given the famous sermon, I Have a Dream. Martin Luther King is known giving very effective, very powerful, very moving sermons. And also he preaches without any manuscript. How is he able to do that? I read one of his books, and there that he shares his experience, how he composed and how he delivers his message. He says that he has about 60 or so sermons that he has written, and then he really memorized them. So he knows the structure, the frame of the sermons. And then when he's invited to different places or different occasions, and when he goes over there, he thinks about the setting and then finds one of the sermons that he can relate to that setting, or maybe kind of weave it together. He can take some of the things from one part of the sermon and then some part of the sermon that he can also bring it so that he can just put it all together to make the sermon. So by doing this impromptu, he can very quickly give a sermon that's very relevant and also very moving and also at the same time very powerful. But we need to practice that sermon over and over and over again if we are going to preach in a way that's really moving and also draw the people together. So as you practice, think about how you are going to give that personal testimony. And the more you practice, then your testimony will really invite the people. And that testimony will help the people to get to know God and also wanting to know God. So I pray and encourage that you think about your life story and see how God has moved your life and using you to take the gospel, to change the lives of the people. So I pray that God will bless you with your testimony, because in that testimony, everyone will get to hear how God is using you, how wonderful God is. So please try that, okay? And thank you, and God bless you.